G'day, ZiggyD here. It's the new year, and what better way to celebrate than with a cold beer and some Diablo 3 theory crafting. So I know a lot of people were pretty disappointed with the PvP blog and the lack of team arena PvP coming in the next patch, but I for one am pretty excited about 1v1 dueling. In fact, it's probably the main PvP I would have been playing anyway if there had been a choice between the two. So I'm pretty keen to sort of get into theory crafting a bit for my Demon Hunter about what sort of skills and gear I want to be using. And I've been doing a bit of thinking about this. Well, not only today, I've actually been thinking about this for a long time. As I'm pretty sure you're aware, PvP's been a long time coming. So I've had plenty of time to sort of think about this, but I've really nailed down some of my initial ideas as much as you sort of can, assuming just from what we know about PvP. But I've nailed down some of those initial ideas, and I want to share some of those with you guys today, so that maybe if you're a Demon Hunter, you can have a bit of an idea of maybe what you can play around with when PvP comes out, or you can form your own ideas. Or if you're another class, you can sort of see maybe what Demon Hunters are sort of going to be opening with when it comes to dueling, and maybe how you can counter those a little bit. So the first thing I'm just going to cover is pretty much just skills in general. What skills I think Demon Hunters are going to be taking into PvP, what one's going to be the most effective based on what we know about the skills now, and what we can assume about PvP, which is that it's just 1v1 dueling, and that there's going to be some sort of damage scaling, so damage is going to be reduced by a percentage that we don't know. It could be like down to 20% of our current DPS, or it could be down to 10%. We're not really sure of what they're going to do that, but they're going to have to do some sort of scaling, otherwise we're pretty much going to be one-shotting each other all of the time. So let's go through some of the skills I've sort of picked out here for PvP. I've selected most of the ones here that I think will be seeing the most use, but I've got a few other optional extras that can sort of be switched in and out, depending on how you like to play. So the first one I'm going to talk about is Hungering Arrow, and the rune specifically that I think will be seeing a lot of use is Devouring Arrow. Now, the way Devouring Arrow works is every time you get a pierce proc happens, which is 35% of the time, damage for the attack is increased by 70%, and this is multiplicative each time that it pierces. So the first pierce, you get a 70% increase in damage, so I'm doing 100k DPS, then I do, or 100k damage on hit, sorry, then I do 170k damage on hit, and then the next pierce, if it happens to, that 35% chance, it happens to pierce again, then you're getting another 70% increase on that, which just multiplies out to be a huge amount of damage. And I think we're going to be seeing a lot of one-shots from Hungering Arrow. So I think Hungering Arrow with Devouring Arrow is going to be the main damage dealer, and probably the main killing move in 1v1 dueling PvP for the Demon Hunter. So there's a few other things about this skill as well. It's quite easy to fire off. You kind of want to be able to get it off quickly, and also the nature of Hungering Arrow in general is that it's homing. I think I've looked at all of these other ones, and grenades are very difficult to hit moving opponents with. I have enough trouble using them just in farming alone, so I think they're going to be very difficult to use effectively in PvP. Bowler Shot has potential to be good. It can do a lot of damage, and it has good stuns as well, depending on the rune you choose. But it is, again, it's very hard to hit. It's just a straight line attack. Like, sorry, I have the. Let's go back to town to check out these skills here, so we don't have to worry about cooldowns and such. Well, I still have the cooldown, but the straight line attack is essentially the same as this arrow here. You have to be able to lead the opponent and be able to hit them directly. And the way that targeting in Diablo 3 works is if you click and hold on the other character and they're moving, you're going to be firing to where they are when the attack starts. Your character will not automatically lead them. It's up to you to lead them. So clicking and holding on the target is not going to be effective when it comes to things like Bowler Shot or any other direct attack like that, or indeed Impale, which I'll be talking about a little later. So while that's on cooldown, let's move on to Impale. So we know that Hungering Arrow is going to be a main damage dealer. It's going to be homing towards the enemy, and if we happen to get lucky and get multiple pierces with that, we're going to be pretty much one-shotting enemies nice and easily. Okay, so Impale is a straight line attack, and I think there's going to be two runes that work well with this. The base attack does quite a lot of damage, 265 weapon damage. It's meant to be just a really big burst single target attack. Now remember, the thing about 1v1 dueling is we're not having to worry about a team, we're not trying to support a team, and we don't have to worry about multiple enemies to kill, and we don't have to worry about farming efficiency. So we can pick skills that are all about single target stuns and attacks evasiveness and defense, keeping ourselves alive. This is going to be the whole mindset for dueling, and I think Impale is going to be an excellent skill for this. It's quite hard to hit with, but if you're in close range to an enemy, you can throw a quick Impale out. It's quite a quick ability, so let's have a look at it here. You can, if they're in pretty close range, it's not too hard to hit an enemy with an Impale. It's a bit of a gamble. It's not quite as a sure thing as Hungering Arrow, but depending on the rune we pick, we might be able to get some different effects with that that I think could be good. So the first thing that I think is going to be a common rune is Impact, which has the highest stun chance in the game for Demon Hunters on skill choices, 65% stun chances. The other ones are like 55% and 35%, things like that. So 65% stun for 1.5 seconds. Combined with Hungering Arrow is pretty much a death sentence for most players. So if you can get a 1.5 second stun on there and then throw maybe 3 or 4 Hungering Arrows straight into them without them being able to dodge any of them, then they're going to take a ton of damage even if they don't pierce, and if they happen to pierce they're probably going to be dead. So the other rune we can look at here is Grievous Wounds, which if instead we're not worried about that stun, but we want to really make sure we really get that damage in, what Grievous Wounds does is it gives us an additional 100% critical multiplier. So if you have a high crit chance, like I think my character has currently 50% crit chance, yeah, about 50% crit chance here. If you have a high enough critical damage multiplier, then half the time you're going to be doing a lot of extra damage, and high crit chance combined with high crit damage could mean a lot of one-shots with skills like this that really add on top of that and take advantage of that extra crit chance and crit damage. So I think those will be the two choices we have there for that. For secondary attacks, I think there's another potential attack we might see a bit of. If I jump back into skills here, I don't think Elemental Arrow or Chakram might have some popularity because you can really throw them out and sort of fill the screen with it, but I don't know how they're going to be damage-wise. Elemental Arrow is quite easy to dodge, at least lightning and things like that. We could see some Ice Arrows and things like that being popular, but most of all I think the more popular one will be Cluster Arrow and either Load for Bear for the extra damage. It does a lot of damage. Besides Devouring Arrow, it has the highest potential DPS in the game for Demon Hunters. Otherwise we might see Dazzling Arrow, which has that 55% chance to stun again, so that's a really good stun chance there, and 2 seconds no less, so even more. And it's sort of got a little bit of an AoE effect, so if you happen to just sort of hit next to them and then the grenades bounce out and stun them, it can do quite a lot of damage. It's going to depend on the move speed of the enemy you're fighting and their evasive skills and things like that. So let's take a look at some of our utility skills. Now, Vault is going to be a very popular skill choice. It has unmatched maneuverability. It gives the most maneuverability out of any skill pretty much in the game across all classes. And I think it's sort of going to be a toss-up, but I think Trail of Cinders is going to be the most popular rune. Trail of Cinders still, despite the Trail of Cinders nerf, still does a lot of damage, and if you're fighting a melee character and they're trying to run towards you, if you have a barb chasing you and you vault away, and they run through that before noticing then they're going to take a lot of damage from that over time. And it might not kill them, but it's going to hurt them a lot, and then you can turn around and throw some arrows into them and finish them off and things like that. So I think not only is it a great maneuverability skill, but it's also a great offensive skill as well. Otherwise, I think Action Shot might have some potential. It has more chance of hitting than Trail of Cinders, but less potential damage. And I personally don't like Action Shot much, but it could also be popular. Things like Rattling Roll are very difficult to actually, despite having a 100% stun chance, it's very difficult to hit an enemy with Rattling Roll. It's not like Leap where you can choose where to leap. You actually have to have them at the end of your roll there, so you're pretty hard pressed to try and get an enemy there right at the end of your roll. Tumble, I don't think will be that popular. It's very popular at the moment in farming, but you don't really need to cover long distances in PvP. You just want to have a quick escape and the ability to move around quickly. You don't really need to cover large areas, which is what Tumble allows you to do. And I don't know about Acrobatics. Acrobatics is kind of like a very niche sort of skill choice. So I think Trail of Cinders is probably going to be the most popular there. And then, of course, we have Smokescreen. Smokescreen is one of the best defensive abilities in the game, has a very short timer but allows you to 100% avoid damage, and combined with passives like Tactical Advantage, which I probably don't really need to mention earlier, because if you're using Vault and Smokescreen, they combine well with the Tactical Advantage there to give you a real maneuverability advantage there, exactly when you're trying to escape, which is the perfect time for it. Now, Lingering Fog just gives you the time. I think that'll still be the most popular. However, I kind of hope to see, I don't know if it's going to be popular, but I kind of hope to see Choking Gas being popular. Same thing as Trail of Cinders if you're running away from a melee character and they sort of stay in that gas cloud for a second or so, then they're going to take a lot of damage, and maybe you can even, if you're in sort of melee range of a Barbarian or something like that, and they don't really pay attention to the gas cloud, it can take them out. But I still think lingering fog's going to be the most popular. It's sort of just like it is a lot of the time in farming and everything as well. Now preparation with like focused mind, I think. Wait, no, I kind of like focused mind. I don't know how useful that's going to be for PvP though. What am I thinking of? I'm thinking of backup plan there, which gives you the extra chance to have more discipline. I don't think sustained discipline over a long time is going to be so necessary in PvP, so I really think Battle Scars is going to become more popular again, with that 60% life heal being a pretty big boost in survivability, and if you've taken a fair bit of damage, it's pretty nice to be able to pop preparation instantly and get that instant heal. So I think preparation Battle Scars will be the nice utility skill there, and it's going to help you with your vaulting and smokescreen and things like that.